on this idea. It's an organic metaphor that we grow and we are fruitful when we are working together. John chapter 15, verse 1 and 5, here on the screen, Jesus said, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener, and you are the branches. So we are God's garden. Now, in God's garden, write this down, my life becomes productive. In God, when I'm connected in God's garden, now all of a sudden I start becoming fruitful. The Bible calls it being fruitful, being productive. It's called bearing fruit. I'm able to make a contribution. Everybody I've ever met wants their life to count. Everybody I've ever met wants to make a difference. They want to make a contribution with their life. Where can you best do that? In God's garden, where you will be productive. But here's the key. Again, you have to be connected. John 15, 4 and 5 on the screen says this. A branch cannot produce fruit if it's severed from the vine. And you cannot be fruitful. Read that as productive. You cannot be productive apart from me. I am the vine, Jesus says, and you are the branches. And those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. You'll be very productive, very productive. He says, but apart from me, you can do nothing. The point is this, you'll never be as productive as God intended for you to be with your life if you're not connected to a church family. You're just not going to. It teaches you the questions to ask. It teaches you the priorities to understand. It teaches you all kinds of stuff, but you're not going to be as productive if you're disconnected from the church. A cut off branch cannot bear fruit. But when you're connected to the vine, life-giving energy flows through you. But here's the thing. God has brought you here now for a purpose. You're not here just to take up space. You're here because God knows you have gifts, abilities, contacts, connections that he wants to use in his family for the next leg of the journey. I have said this many, many times, hundreds of times in one-on-one class. Can you imagine getting to heaven and 100 years from today, somebody walks up to you in heaven and says, I just want to thank you. I'm here because of you. And you say, I don't even know you. I said, no, you don't know me. But you were one of the pioneers of Saddleback Church. And you prayed, and you served, and you got involved, and you were a member, and you got connected, and you were generous, and you sacrificed, and you gave it your best shot. You invested your life in something that would outlast you. And 50 years after you died, that church reached me for Jesus Christ. I'm in heaven because of you. Will that be worth it? If you know anything more important to do with your life, I challenge you right now. If you know anything more important to do with your life, than to invest it in the one thing that's going to last on the planet Earth when everything else is going to burn up, the family of God. Nothing else is going to last. It's going to outlast your business. It's going to outlast your hobby. It's going to outlast your sports. It's going to outlast your own family. If you know anything more important to do than build the family of God, bring people to Christ, build them up to maturity, teach them to discover their gifts, send them out in their ministry in the world to make an impact. If you know something more important, I invite you to stand up right now and tell us. Right now. Stand up and tell us what's more important than that. Because I decided a long time ago, as a very young man, I was not going to waste my life. And I have not. I have used it for the glory of God. I want you so badly to know what it feels like to be used by God. "40 years, great history. It's nothing compared to where we're going. And you're here now. Will you join me? Let's charge hell with squirt guns. Let's go for it. Let's, in a dark and getting darker world, shine a light of truth, shine a light of hope, shine a light of joy, to be for the good news, not against all the bad news. There's plenty of people out there. You want to go join a negative movement, it's not here. There's plenty of other places to go be negative and talk about how bad the world is, but not here. You have 5 fundamental needs in your life. You have a need for identity. You need to know who you are. You have a need for stability. You need stability when life gets tough. You need capacity. You need a place to develop, in a safe place, your gifts and talents where people aren't going to put you down for not having it perfect the first time you try it. You need security of relationships, and you need productivity. You feel like your life is going to make a long-term difference. Where else are you going to get that besides the Church of God? Nowhere.